Back at it again with another video, y'all. Let's get right into it. So today we are going to talk about astral houses. Now, what is an astral house? This is a pocket in space and time in which can hold a specific energy and only a certain vibration or being can get into it. So I've noticed, this is going to be kind of funny because I didn't know it was like this, but low-key, there's such thing as astral real estate. I'm going to explain that more in a minute. But for example, my first astral house that I still have to this day, it's one that looks like this. It looks like Zathura, right? And I used to be obsessed with Zathura when I was a young kid. And I said, if I have an astral house, it's going to be like that. And then when I started actually astral traveling, I started building this like astral house in my head, and I would like visit it in my mind, and I would decide what it looks like and what it feels like. And then in the astral, I was like, okay, I want to go there in the astral. I wouldn't remember going there, but I would feel like the energy that I've been there. You guys know how it goes to astral travel. Sometimes you don't remember what happened, but you feel what happened. And I was like, oh, I checked it out. And then you get like a few memories, but then that's it. I was like, okay, I was there just for a little bit, right? I built this house not knowing I was building it in my mind already. Like I was building it in the astral. I had no idea until my birthday came around. My guides was like, oh, we have, you know how on your birthday you get like presents from the GFL or your guides. What part of my gift was an astral house, and it looked exactly like Zathura house. And when they gifted it to me, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, thank you guys. But they were like, you basically already made it. We just kind of like finished it up and basically put it out and made you aware of it. So I was like, whoa, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And they were explaining to me how I already was creating it in my mind. So it was already there. It was like under construction. It's like, whoa. So this is the first astral house. So what you do is when you're creating it in your mind, remember your mind is linked to the astral so much. And as you astral travel, you start to notice how much your mind is linked to the astral. Like you could astral travel just closing your eyes now. Closing your eyes to get into meditation, you get astral travel. You're not outside your body, but your awareness is outside your body. You're still astral traveling. Or what people call remote viewing, right? And if you guys see some of my shadow hunting missions, I would sometimes do that. Like I'm physically there, but then like you can feel the spirits around. I have to close my eyes and then do what needs to be done. That's what it was essentially like when you're creating them, when you're creating an astral space. So I found this extremely interesting. So now that house is specifically used when I am having some of my astral traveling friends over, or if I'm having different beings come to like visit me and we talk in like a gathering, or if I'm having like, we call it astral parties in the server, where it's like we all get together and all their astral star family or friends come as well. So it's like they're astral traveling and coming, but also their ET friends are coming. It's really fun. And so that used to be a main house, but then I realized how active it was. It was like I would go there and certain beings that wanted to talk to me knew that they could go there. So I was like, okay, I love this area, but I'm gonna need some more houses for different things. So let me tell y'all this one's really cool. So I would, at one point, this is after this house, I would keep astral traveling and come across this secret house. It was like a abandoned house in the forest, and the only way to get there is to go through a forest. So what I would do is I'd be on a mission, I'd be doing whatever, and then I would randomly on my mission come across this secret house. And it was like dusty, like there was no energy in there because whoever built this place or whoever used to live there they haven't been there in a long time. Like it was represented with the cobwebs and the dust. It wasn't literally cobwebs and dust, but it was essentially showing this has been active in a very long time. And the energy in there was not active. It was like there was nobody there. And when you go in, it was amazing. I actually wanted to show my astral traveling friends, but for some reason, like I brought a few there and they just didn't enjoy it like how I did. And then the other ones, for some reason, they couldn't go there. especially since you have to go through a forest to get there. And remember, this place is surrounded by brush. Like, it looks like it's surrounded by brush. And the only way to get there, again, is through the forest. So what happened after? I would keep traveling and I would come across this house. So I'm like, you know what? Ain't nobody using this. I'm going to use it. So now every time I astral travel, no matter where I go, I could go back to this astral house and no one knows about it. No one goes there. And it's so peaceful. And I allow the faith to be in there to keep the energy moving around there. But that place is so beautiful and so home. So sometimes I'll be on a mission. I'll be like hunting a monster or something. And then, which we'll talk about in more videos. And then there'll be a forest right here. And then I could easily go into the forest and go back to that house and they won't follow me because it's like you go through, remember, it's a pocket in space and time. So it's like you either have to be invited or you find it because usually people put locks on it. So like you can't access it unless you are invited or have the astral. It's almost like a passcode. It's like a spiritual vibration. You align with the vibration of the place and then you get there. It's kind of interesting, but it's kind of like a passcode type of thing, right? So I started using this place more and more. I go to astral school and there'd be a forest right there. I could easily use the forest and you go through it and then you could feel you go through like it's almost like a portal almost, but the forest is the portal. You go through and then when you're in the place, there's nobody else there but you. Like you could feel like there's nobody around except for whoever you invite, whoever spirits or entities you invite. So you could feel like you can't feel the rest of the astral. You just feel the space. And that's how you know you're in a different pocket of space and time, which is the definition of an astral house and astral place. Now I still use this place just for me. It's just for me. And then my third astral house is actually at my cottage. Anytime I go to my cottage, it's there. So let me tell you the story real fast. So I went to my cottage one day and I woke up on my body. And I go into the living room and there's a ladder. It's like an attic, but there's no attic at my cottage. So there was like an attic, like ladder. So I was like, okay, like, I don't know what this leads to, but let me go up. So I go up and then it's like I came out of the floor of the living room. It was like a alternate reality of the cottage, but it was dark and heavy. And you could feel the malevolent ETs and different beings walking around there. But you're not supposed to stop there. You're supposed to keep climbing up the ladder. And then you get to this like penthouse. And it was so cool when I found it. That's when I asked myself, I'm like, why do I keep finding these secret places? And that's when I realized it was being set up for me. I was like, is this being set up for me to find? Like I found this place in the forest. I like to call it my fairy house. It's like there's this forest fairy house that I randomly found. And then now this penthouse that I randomly found. Like, why am I finding these secret places all the time? Still to this day, finding these secret places. So after I found it and it was beautiful because there was a library in there, a nice bed. And the library is like books from the Akashic records. Like you open it and you could get information from the Akashic. It's so cool. But you look at the book and it's not like you're reading it. It's like you see the words, but they morph into like images. So it's like you're watching a movie in the book. So I found it cool that part of some Akashic information was kept there, but it was dusty. It was like this was a place someone built a long time ago. I bet you it was an astral house that the people before us that had this place built. So I thought it was really cool. It was dusty. I cleaned it up and everything, and I programmed it with my energy so that it was essentially like mine. So then I went back down and I wanted to show my cousins. So they come out their bodies and I'm like, and you know, my cousins, when I astral travel with them or some of my friends, they don't remember nothing. But I was like, I wanted to show them anyways. You know, I like showing people these secret places. This give me deja vu. I brought my cousins up to show them. And they were like we go up the ladder and they stopped in this dark version of the cottage. And they were like, what's that noise? And they ran off. I was like, no, you're not supposed to stop. And they just wanted to explore. I was like, oh my God, just whatever. Then a few of my other cousins, I was holding my cousin's hand. It's like we wanted to go and find our other cousins that ran off. But then there was these little kids, these little shadow kids that were there was a boy and a girl. And they were like, hey guys. And we're like, oh shit, like we kind of got discovered. And then it's like they knew we baked cookies earlier that day or something. Or I don't know how it worked. But they were like, look, I think they have cookies. And as I said that, we ran out the back door. And I was like, okay, we got to find our cousins. At one point, bro, there was this big ass, like, demon guardian. And he came out of nowhere. He came from the forest in our backyard. And all I hear is, Cassius! And I was like, oh shit. And when you hear that and everything shakes, everything stops. And it's like all the beings there, like, scattered. They were like, this is the boss. Like, don't play with the boss. Bro, my cousin was gone. She booked it. I heard what was happening. And then when I saw it, I was like, okay, I barely know anything about this dimension. And I barely know anything about, like, what this being is. I just gotta find my cousins and get out of here. So I hid behind a tree. And this thing was sniffing me out. Like, it knew me already. And it was, like, sniffing me out. And it was actually so scary because it was so big. And so I was like, okay, I'm not... Excuse me. I was like, I'm not fighting this thing. Like, this is an unnecessary fight. I barely know anything about this thing. And I barely know anything about this dimension. I'm not even supposed to be here right now. So it was like I was just like, it's not worth it. So hid behind the tree. And as soon as the thing kept going, I booked it and I slid into the trap door and went back to the cottage realm, like the actual astral of the cottage. And I got back, I was like, whew. And I was like, okay, well, when my cousins wake up, they'll snap back in their body, whatever. Why am I trying to find them, right? So I knew they were lost in that dimension, but what can I do? You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing was after me. So I was like, all right, left them. I tried to show my mom, and she was too scared to go through. She was like, it's going to a dark place. At least to a dark place. I was like, no, it's just you have to keep going. You have to go through it. So then I realized how it worked. A lot of people, when they build astral spaces or houses, each of them have a different personality. Like, for example, the one in the forest, you have to go through the forest first, and you can get lost in the forest, but you have to follow a certain pathway that you know. It's like you just know, and then you find it. Other times, like for this one, for example, or let's go back to the Zathura one. The Zathura one, you have to have like a passcode in order to see it and feel it. You have to be invited by me, right? And if you have access to it, it's because I allowed you to have access. And then this one, whoever built it, you have to go through a dark dimension first. And that dark dimension is meant to protect it from people that aren't really meant to be in it. So this astral house is meant for warriors and scholars. Scholars meaning people that really study the universe and want to study the universe. And also meant for warriors, people that are very skilled hunters, shadow hunters, demon hunters, whatever it is that you do that involves being a warrior. And so I started to realize after, I was like, whoa, this place is... I accepted that only I would know of this place. So I realized some of these secret things, these secret places, only I'll be able to know and have access to. Or you, as someone who may discover these, will only be able to have access to or be able to go to. Yeah, it's very interesting how these astral places work and what you could use them for. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have astral houses, or if you guys have ever experienced this where you find secret places, secret pockets in space and time like this, and you could decide to make it a spot as yours or not. One thing I know about the penthouse is that it was made by some sort of older man that astral travels. That's all I know. His vibration was in there, and there was like a picture of him in there. It's really, really cool. But I just know that he made it. And the kids that were in the dark dimension, I know they died in that cottage. And they're like shadow children now. They want to stay there, and they just want to do whatever they're doing. It's very interesting. But this dark dimension is meant to filter out people. People when they have to go through, they either get too scared and they can't go through it, or they get lost in the dark dimension, which you can't really get lost in astral. You just snap back in your body later. Lost meaning they just go through and then they don't know where they're going and they just keep going through until they wake up. They're either scared or they like want to explore it. Whatever it is, it's almost like a trick. But you realize, if you're a scholar or warrior, you realize you have to keep going. Don't you guys find that interesting? Okay, I'll end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to make more of these vlog type of videos about my astral travels, as I'm supposed to and as I should. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later.